Right, everyone, welcome back to Messari's Unqualified Opinions. We got a double session today. Next guest is Jason Goldberg, the founder and CEO of OST and Simple Token. We're going to talk a bit about the protocol and help people understand what I think is a pretty interesting project in the token ecosystem that might be flying a little bit under the radar. Jason's going to tell us about what these guys have up their sleeve for 2019. But first, I want to thank our sponsors again, Token Soft and Token Tax. You got about a week left to do your taxes, and you have infinity left to come into compliance on your token sale offerings. So check out Token Soft on the compliance side and Token Tax if you're looking to pay Uncle Sam in the next week here. All right, Jason, so appreciate you joining us. Really excited to help people understand a little bit more about the project, the token, the underlying ethos, and what you're hoping to accomplish. But why don't we start by getting a little bit more color on the origin story and how you got to this point with OST and Simple Token.
Sure. Well, Brian, thanks so much for having me, and thanks to the team Messari Capital. We're huge fans. You guys are doing great stuff, and it's great to, the refreshing voice and analysis you guys are bringing in has been really great to see for the industry, and thanks for pushing everyone forward. Look, my background is, I've been an entrepreneur for about 20 years now, and if there's veterans in this space, I think I might be one of them. We've been working on this project for about 3 years. So we started in 2016. Our team is today about 65 persons. We have offices in Berlin, where I'm at today, where it's actually pretty nice out, and Pune, India, where I've worked with one of the best development teams in the world for 11 years now. So Sunil Kadar, my co-founder, and we started working together in 2007. We worked on a company called Social Media in 2008, sold that company, built Fab.com together, and then a couple other businesses after that. And so we've been at this for a while. We have a team in Hong Kong and a team in New York City as well. Look, our origin story is, I'd say it's somewhat different than the rest of the industry. So we came at this from a mainstream consumer, mainstream application standpoint. We looked out at blockchain and cryptocurrency in 2016. We were working on a consumer app. It was called Pipo. It was a messenger for helping people with group chats and channels based on common interests. We were connecting influencers with people based on certain topics such as food, travel, hobbies, activities, and we saw an interest and need to create kind of a currency within the app that would enable these influencers to earn money by through micropayments, by whether it's providing reviews, tips, likes, selling itineraries, all sorts of things that were bubbling up. And we spent a lot of time in 2016 designing what a user experience could be. So we're my background is I'm a product manager, UX guy. Really, we were looking at how do we build a user experience around a token economy embedded into a mainstream app. So we weren't looking at building a DApp at the time. We were looking at taking an existing app with hundreds of thousands of MAUs and saying, how do we build a currency into it and grow it to millions of MAUs and and go from there. And I worked with a guy named Ben Bolin, who I'd known in Berlin here for a while. Ben was one of the early developers of Hyperledger. He was one of the early team of Monax, was at MadeSafe before that. He was actually the lead developer of Hyperledger Burrow. And we were batting around the ideas of how to do this, right? How to tokenize an app like Pipo. And we basically came up with the idea of Simple Token, which was, we realized we would have to build so much technology in order to both at the protocol layer, APIs, SDKs, and application layer, and especially around the user experience of blockchain, that we would need to build so much in order to tokenize one app that we kind of took a step back and said, whoa, there's a much bigger business here and a great opportunity that we saw was being unmet and unserved to basically build that layer for all the apps. And so we immediately just pivoted the business right then, and our entire team of back-end developers, front-end developers, iOS, Android, blockchain developers to join the team as well. We all pivoted immediately towards building at the time Simple Token, which we then renamed the company OST, which stands for Open Simple Token. So that's the genesis story, and I can tell you that I say the rest of the industry went left and we went right, and hopefully right means correct. And what I mean by that is rest of the industry really went and kind of said dApps, 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 and started building kind of Web3 and try to build kind of the applications of the future. And we took a different lens to this. Our approach was we looked and said, you know what, dApps will have an interesting role to play maybe 5-10 years from now. But I think what a lot of people forget is that the hardest part about building product is distribution. And you can have the best app in the world, and if you don't have users, no one's going to care. And we looked at this blockchain stuff and said, there's really powerful technology here. And we said that we think this technology can be harnessed first within existing mainstream apps. And so we built our technology. We've always said our focus is apps that already have millions of users. How do we enable them to seamlessly integrate blockchain technology into their apps such that end users don't even know that they're touching blockchain. That from an end user perspective, it's just as easy as liking a photo or using a filter or posting a status update or sending a tweet. That is just the same as paying on PayPal, that people could use crypto. And I'm actually really proud of our team. A couple years of development. Just about 10 days ago, we launched OST Platform, which is the most complete set of tools, APIs, SDKs, SaaS dashboards that enable any company, any person, any developer to launch their own brand token. So it could be Messari token, it could be JSON token, whatever it is, on open scalable sidechains without writing a single line of blockchain code. So they basically can just use our dashboards and APIs and plug it into any existing iOS or Android app. And it's really thrilling. We have right now, we've opened up within the OST platform, we have a sandbox and a production environment. Sandbox is on testnet, production is on mainnet. We did alpha tests all last year with over 1,000 developers on testnet, and now the platform is officially live. It's generally available, and so anyone can use it. And we have a couple hundred developers right now who are building their integrations. And whenever they're ready, they flip the switch and they can move to production and launch on mainnet. And so right now on testnet, with basically the launch version, we went live with about 10 days ago. And we already know that, so we have many partners. We can talk more about this, I'll answer your questions, but we have many partners that are larger companies that we're working with. And one of them, the first one to go live, is about 2 to 3 weeks away, is an app called Hornet, which is an app for the gay and lesbian community. They have about 30 million MAUs. And they're integrating LGBT token powered by OST technology into their app. And their first beta tests are going to launch. So the beta tests, they have about 50,000 of their power super users, and they're launching their first live tests on mainnet with OST technology in the next couple of weeks.
And so this is really enabling brands to create their own loyalty tokens building on blockchain. That begs the question, why does this need to be decentralized, right? So my understanding at a high level is that the long end game is to create a liquid marketplace where you can swap brand tokens, your LGBT coin for a Starbucks coin if you're at Starbucks, and basically the earnings that you make by being a power user of one application can ultimately translate into economic value in maybe another. Is that the right way to think about this?
Exactly. So we look at it kind of like, loyalty 1.0. Whenever people think, people when they think about these new concepts, they kind of always have kind of one foot in the old, one foot in the new. And you think about like loyalty, people always take loyalty points, right? And so people think about like airline points, hotel points, where basically it's a rigged game. The house always wins, right? So the airline gives you the points. It's black box database. They control how much things cost when you to spend the points. They can expire your points whenever they want to. It's not at all consumer friendly, not user friendly, not customer centric. There's no interoperability between kind of these various point systems. And so we look at kind of how do you create the future of brand loyalty? Well, it's not about points. It's about interoperable, brand currency, where companies look and say, why do people associate with our brand? Why do they transact with us? And how do we merge these two things, payments and rewards, into one thing that represents what our company's all about, what our brand's all about? And then create, as you said, this kind of fluid interoperable network. That's a really powerful concept. And what's great about where we got to on this is, we spent the last 18 months talking to literally, thousands of people, hundreds of, legitimate kind of significant brands. And we talked to them about blockchain. We talked to them about decentralization, tokenization. And they don't care about that stuff. What they care about is the future brand loyalty. And they told us that. They basically said, look, what you're getting at is it's not about the token, or it's not about the decentralization. It's not about private keys. That stuff's the ingredients. What it's about is how do we build better direct-to-customer relationships? How do we build, the internet has disintermediated middlemen when it comes to content. You can find anything yourself. When it comes to shopping, you can connect directly with brands. Well, what about payments? What about loyalty? How do you take that disintermediation? And so that's this kind of like holy grail that we're working towards of the future brand loyalty is like today you pay with Visa and you get reward points. Well, what about tomorrow? The payment and the reward is all part of the same thing. It's a connection you have to that brand, and it represents the social currency that brand represents. It's a really powerful concept, and the visionaries in this space. I mean, the early adopters that we have in the space, and unfortunately at a point we're working with some really high-profile brands with hundreds of millions, even almost 1 billion customers, and we can't mention them by name yet until we launch some of their pilots. But what they're planning to do here in terms of the future of brand loyalty is extraordinary. And we're working with them both on how do they pilot, how do they test. The first test will be with 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 users. How do we then expand from there? And at the same time, we're working on the interoperable network. And that's the thing that everyone's really excited about. And it also hits on a lot of kind of more traditional companies, or like the companies that are going to be the last to follow. They are really guard carefully their existing legacy systems, which are these black box systems that are kind of entirely proprietary. And the new companies, they look at this world and say, well, we can blow all that up by being interoperable and kind of be the best customer-centric value out there. And that's really exciting when you see customers, kind of companies sticking out their necks like that.
There's obviously a ton of vested interests on the part of the airlines or some of the incumbents. Not to necessarily.
They're going to be they'll be the last guys to go for sure. Anyone who has that kind of liability in their balance sheet, going to be the last ones to put that on blockchain.
Well, not only that, but they make a nice spread just from breakage or lack of usage, and there's been, I don't know about Europe, but there's certainly been regulation in the U.S. that's tried to rein that in, but it's still a major profit center. Where does the OST token come in? Because I understand the protocol, right? It makes intuitive sense that you would want to create a liquid marketplace, centralized or decentralized, doesn't conceptually matter to your point to the customers. But you certainly can appreciate that brands will have loyalty points or currencies that they want to be able to help their users monetize. Let
me explain how the protocol works. Let me show you. So the first thing we did, we built back in September of 2017. We started work on the OpenST protocol, so the Open Simple Token Protocol. And the whole idea of the protocol was these brands are not going to want to do their own ICO. They're not going to want to have tradable tokens. They're not going to want their tokens listed on Binance or anywhere else, no secondary markets for it. But they want the benefit of having an ERC20 token in terms of this interoperability, the programmability of it being smart contracts driven, and the future of decentralization and the kind of power of that. Without, it's like they want the benefits of blockchain without all the icky stuff, right? And without all the regulation and all the risk involved. So what the OpenST protocol did is it basically enables you to stake cryptocurrency on Ethereum against minting a mirror image of that representation on the OST sidechains. And that's basically what we call the brand token, right? So you take the OST token and you stake it on Ethereum as almost like the reserve against creating this brand token. Let's say, brand X token, right? And brand X token then lives on sidechains. It can only be transferred with the rules that are provided to by brand X. So they can dictate, well, you can, whether they want to have only these types of user-to-user transactions only to their users, right? So only people are logged in with an account with them that are they're whitelisted actors. It can have, user-to-company transactions, company-to-user transactions. They can define all of this within their, the APIs that we give them. But all those transactions take place on the sidechains. And what that does is it's just so much more scalable than Ethereum. And then we followed that with building a second protocol called Mosaic. And Mosaic is all about how do you take thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of those transactions that are happening on the sidechains and prove them all at once back on Ethereum. So we still use Ethereum as the final verdict of truth, but you don't have to have a transaction at a time and a transaction fee at a time back on Ethereum, right? So right now we're calculating, somewhere 300 to 900 TPS and per sidechain, and we're calculating somewhere around basically you can do about 300,000 to 500,000 transactions per US dollar on the sidechain, which obviously is order of magnitude cheaper than Ethereum. And then the idea is you also can do this asynchronously, so you don't need to have a live connection to Ethereum all the time. You can basically so it's not private chain, it's not but it is all on chain, but you can asynchronously kind of prove the transactions on the sidechain back to Ethereum. So that if I, for instance, let's say you and I were both a member of Brand X Economy, and they set up a rule that whenever I like your photo, I can transfer a token to you, a Brand X token. That when I transfer a Brand X token to you, when you go to redeem it, Ethereum knows that you're the owner of it, right? So the fact that that transaction happened and you have the rights to that at that point, right? So that you don't need to worry. So the truth is there on on Ethereum. Mm-hmm. So we built these two protocols, and we're still working on them, obviously. So we launched OpenST back in September. We have kind of production version of OpenST, version 0.10.0 that we launched 2 weeks ago, and Mosaic is in the beta trials right now. And well, we built that, and then we said, well, mainstream companies are not going to want to interact with these protocols at all, though. Right? So that's there's lots of dApp developers who are doing so, and like in some ways our company is sort of like a dApp because we work directly with the protocol. But we said we need to build this other layer on top of that that enables any mainstream business to use the protocol without ever writing any blockchain code. So you don't need to learn any Solidity. You don't need to worry about the blockchain transactions. All you do is, it's basically like Stripe for blockchain. You copy and paste a few lines of code. You can integrate into your app, and within any iOS, Android app, take advantage of the security that's on the app already. Use our security and recovery model, which I can go through in a second. And have the benefit of deploying these tokens to your users. And so that's been a lot of our work over the last 18 months, is getting the SaaS dashboards ready that anyone can use at platform.ost.com, and the APIs that anyone can use. And there's UX guides, there's recipes at dev.ost.com, and they're all out there for anyone to use and see, so that brands can start to build and deploy their brand token economies. We have, for instance, I mentioned Hornets going live in 2 weeks. They've been working with us for the better part of 9 months, a year at this point. But in terms of the final production code, 2 to 3 weeks of integration time, which is pretty awesome to achieve that at this point.
That's great. So I think I'm not trying to be dense. I'm trying to
that's cool.
trying to understand where I understand the protocol level. I think the token itself. Where does value get captured? Is there potential fees that might accrue to the token holders based on secondary transfers? Is it a governance token? What is the current reality and vision for how that's going to be employed?
Sure. So current reality, so the token was minted after we launched the protocol back in 2017, and so we launched the first version of the protocol, enabled anyone to take the OST token and stake it on Ethereum mainnet against minting any brand token on the sidechain. And then you move OST tokens over to the sidechain. So you transpose them, it's called OST to OST prime, to use to pay validators for gas on the sidechains. And then this Mosaic protocol that looks over the sidechains and it kind of says, okay, everything that happened over here on the sidechains, we're going to report it back to Ethereum. The Mosaic validators have to stake OST token as well. So we have 3 major utility uses of the token, just kind of built into the core level functioning of this system. Now, in addition to that, we will enable companies, if they want to stake other ERC20 tokens. So we built OST as the base token, and it will always be used for the validator fees, and it'll be used for on the sidechain as well as for Mosaic. But if a company wants to do stake stablecoins or some hybrid, or some kind of combination of stable coins and OST token, they can do that. We want this to be really customer centric and customer friendly in terms of achieving our customers' kind of business goals. And then in addition, we built so in addition to those kind of core functions of the token, we've then been looking at a few other things that are kind of, I'd say, like, one is, so we charge transaction fees on using our software, the OST platform, and so we are a for-profit software company. We're not just giving away the software and hoping the token appreciates or that sort of thing. So we're the way that we sell the software is we're charging very small transaction fees on any user-driven transaction. So if a brand gives their user tokens, for instance, we don't charge the brand when they give out the tokens, or we only charge when the user spends the tokens. And we basically, so we collect a 0.2 to 0.3% transaction fee on every spend transaction by an end user is what we'll collect, which compares to about 2.8% for Stripe. And so they have to pay 2.5% to the credit card companies. In our case, it's rather than 2.8%, it's 0.2 to 0.3 because we don't have the Visa MasterCard involved. For us, it's just all we're doing is enabling these transactions to take place on a sidechain.
How do you set the market price for a brand token?
So it's very simple. When you mint the brand token, you set the conversion rate between the brand token and what you're staking against it, right? So if you're staking the OST token, you can the default is 1 to 1, and then here's the if you want to stake stablecoin, you can put it 1 to 1 or half to 1, and then you mint as many tokens as you need. And so a brand would go out and acquire whatever they need to stake, right? So if you want to create $10,000 worth of brand X rewards, you would stake $10,000 worth of either stablecoin or OST token, and then you would mint your token from it. And you can set whatever conversion rate you want, though, right? So you can have it be 1 to 100 and mint hundreds of thousands or millions of tokens. It's up to you, what you want each token to be worth. And then with the APIs, you can then use our pricer, which enables you can set prices in fiat rather than setting in token if you want. So you can say every time a user does this action, reward them with a penny, no matter what the token price is. You then also can set up various types of transaction types. So you can say, if I like a photo, it always does a penny. But if I transfer, say a token, I can set the variable right there on the spot to say what I want to transfer you. So all of that's done through the APIs.
Makes sense. The roadmap for the rest of the year, you're still testing some of these core protocols out. You got a few partners lined up, it sounds like, that are going to be testing this. The LGBT token is the first major brand token, correct?
Correct.
And is that
yes.
live?
It's going to go live in a couple weeks.
Okay.
We're really close on it.
Okay.
And so if it's not this month, it's early next month. It is on track with a very short time frame. A couple weeks we're talking about at this point.
And so what does the rest of the year look like then from your roadmap standpoint?
I mean, I would say the thrilling thing for us is 2 weeks ago this entire operation transitioned from build to in market, and we had launches before. There were early alpha versions, but the platform is now generally available, and it's like you can deploy on this platform. Previous versions you could do certain things but you couldn't fully deploy. This is now fully deployable. You can end user wallets, and we can go through kind of some of the magic there that we've done on the user experience in a minute, but that's deployable. And so now that we're in market, our focus is get this product in as many hands of many people as possible and learn and iterate. And so we have LGBT token launching with Hornet in a couple weeks. We have some other big projects that are going to be launching in Q2 as well, which I cannot name at this point. There's a couple hundred developers who independently, just on their own, are building with the platform. Right now, if you want to use the platform, we require you to register at platform.ost.com. I'm sorry, platform.ost.com, or just go to ost.com, and we have a whitelisting process. Our goal is on Monday next week is to remove the whitelisting and just enable anyone to just go right on OST and start playing around in the sandbox and mint their tokens and then let us know when they want to move to production. We'll introduce a number of features over the next 6 months as we're learning from clients. Everything from branded token to branded token swaps, so atomic swaps between branded tokens. So you earn brand X token and you want to exchange it for brand Y, and enabling that to happen seamlessly. That's a big priority. It's something that a lot of the early companies we're talking to right now, the first thing we want to test is they want to test the user's value interoperability, and that brings upon some really interesting things when the way we organize and design the economies as well. Because you think about, to make it meaningful to swap from one token to another, you need to have almost the network density is really important. And you think, well, most people live locally, right? And so we've been looking at certain countries and certain regions. For instance, I was in Singapore last week. I was in Seoul last week. here in Berlin, where in London as well, where we have we're talking to a good number of prospects with the purposeful, so that and clients say purposeful, because you want a user to be able to, through let's say the journey of a week, you earn a token here, and then you spend it here, and you earn another one here, and all those are kind of companies and brands that you use on a regular basis, and that happens to be very local. So that's something that's pretty exciting. And so yeah, we have a roadmap on our website. We have a much more granular one that we're working on behind the scenes. But it's really right now, it's like just get this product out there and get people touching and giving us feedback.
Well, a lot's been done so far. Congratulations on the first launch, and good luck. Hope there's a smooth rollout.
Thank you.
We will be sure to reconnect around some of the next milestones. But in the meantime, how can people get involved?
Look, I say please go to dev.ost.com and look at the documentation. Go to ost.com and register to check to use the platform right there. I definitely recommend people at devost.com to look at the wallet UX guide that we've created. We've created basically a UX model and a security model that enables end users to hold and transact with brand tokens without requiring them to write down 12 words. They can just use their biometrics, whether it's fingerprint or kind of face scan, in order to authorize sessions. We've created something called ephemeral keys, so you don't need to put in your private key all the time. You can have a session-based key for a couple weeks at a time. These are real UX innovations, and then if you're a developer, check out our GitHub, please. I mean, it's we saw a report the other day that we were one of the top 10 projects in the world over the last 6 months in terms of GitHub releases, and we put everything out there. The wallet SDK is out there. Please touch it, use it, give us feedback. OpenST is out there. Mosaic is out there. Check it out. Give us feedback. Connect with our team. And look, we all want the same thing here, right? We all want to create frictionless payments, create the future of brand loyalty. A lot of people are coming at tokenization and crypto from different directions. But ultimately, we want this industry to succeed and to provide more consumer value and more values to companies that kind of build applications in this space. And so help us, and we help you. The whole community needs to help each other, and the best way to help is to touch the product and give us feedback.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck, like I said, over the course of the next quarter. And thanks again for coming on. Should be a good one.
Thank you.
And this will go up for our iTunes and Spotify subscribers next week. But if you are tuning in live, then thanks for joining us. Until next time.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Thanks.
Peace.